Hi, you're watching the UseWise channel. I'm Adriana Baranek, and here with me is our CTO, Mohan Baranek.
Hi.
So today we will be talking about image recognition and how you can use image recognition to help you in your everyday business. For a start, I saw a cartoon recently where a dog says after being in heaven that he didn't exactly notice what Jesus Christ looked like, but he did notice the sandwich, and he will give a very detailed description of the sandwich. And this is what we as a people are. So we are not very precise with image recognition. We tend to make mistakes, and this is where technology and those amazing new systems that we will be talking about today come in and help us to process large quantities of data, of images, and can be used in many forms. So Martin, can you tell us a little bit more about this topic for a start?
So it comes from computer vision, and at first it was utilized especially for optical character recognition. So it was very helpful, beneficial for companies to be able to process scanned documents and extract text from documents. So there are a number of solutions that can also detect objects and that can use various algorithms, especially geared for certain application areas. Recently, there was a huge development by using artificial intelligence. Unlike by using computer vision, classical computer vision models, it was suddenly possible to train artificial intelligence models to classify or to recognize objects on images and in video, and also in for video processing. So there are many applications. For example, now you can easily count people with a number of cameras that are using either computer vision or artificial intelligence models. There are also face recognition algorithms that are very even more accurate than people. It was found out actually that people are not very accurate by recognizing faces. So that was one that is one area where face recognition comes very handy, because it is quite possible to confuse people who are handing out documents or who communicate with people to mix different persons, and actually that is one area that saw a huge improvement with computer vision.
Yeah, and one of the first examples that we had with image recognition was the example of finding a cat. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so historically there was one specific moment when at Google they tried to train models based on enormous amount on YouTube videos, and the idea was, without describing problem area or defining any kind of target, a model was formed that was suddenly able to recognize whether there was a cat in video or not. So it was basically 99% or more accurate, and it was achieved without human input. So even today, there are many models that have requirements for experts to input some additional knowledge or some additional target. But that story with recognizing cats in video showed for the first time that you can actually train model without experts in certain areas. So that was kind of a breakthrough for CNN networks and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And with regard to our long-standing story about public versus private cloud, of course, using those services in the public cloud has like enormous benefits. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, so usually it takes much more compute power to train model than to use model. So in public cloud, usually you have two sets of APIs. One API is usually for already trained models that you can use, for example, for optical character recognition, for object classification, for face recognition, for recognizing famous persons, or for recognizing indecency, for example, for schools or for some media. It might be very important that if they allow publishing of video or image content on their digital assets, they can filter out indecent images or images that can cause problems, legal problems, or whatever. So with public cloud, you can leverage huge compute power and specialized hardware. So most of public cloud providers have their own chipsets, their own hardware that is especially geared for a training phase of a model, and that is a second area where you can use cloud APIs to train the model in the cloud, and then you can use it in the cloud, but you can also use it usually within mobile devices, or when you have a trained model, it requires much less compute to actually use it. So
yeah, and also you really don't have to be an expert as much as you would have to be in the old world.
Well, yes, you for sure don't have to be PhD in certain area to be able to benefit from using such models. And there are, I would say, kind of recipes or pre-prepared starter networks that you can train to solve your particular requirement.
Yeah, and we did some projects in the real world with companies. For instance, one company that we worked with, they needed an app that would enable them to recognize and their customers to recognize some images on the map. And then divert them to the URL that is of interest to that particular position on the app. So this is one example. For instance, when you come to a hotel, in many large hotels in the world, you can still get those horrible maps. Even though you do have Google Maps, but hotels still like to hand out free maps to their visitors. And if hotels had such an app, it would be very beneficial for them, because it would really help visitors of the hotel to get to some information on the internet. And the second example, can you tell us more about it?
For example, it is obviously quite popular to use QR codes, but if you have maps or whatever where you would like to put icons or images to be recognized by tourists, it for sure helps.
Yeah.
To have an application that can recognize whatever icons are placed on the map, and you can actually manage which content will be shown to customers, to visitors when they actually recognize an icon.
Yeah, and there are also numerous examples where people have lots of documentation coming in with lots of numbers and letters, and people have to sort it out. Can you tell us more about how we could use some of the systems?
Yeah, for example, there are some companies that have to process a very large number of printed receipts. And since receipts comes in various formats, they can be also partly damaged, or they can be skewed and stuff like that. It really helps if you can process most of those images through very advanced OCR and not by using human input.
Yeah.
So only very small percentage of such bills end up with humans that have to sort out what's the actual problem with the bill.
Yeah, and for instance, with image recognition for human faces, there are some of the retailers that sell very high net worth goods, and if somebody comes to their shop in New York but is, for instance, customer in Bombay, in India, they would be able immediately to recognize that person as a customer if they had good face recognition software. So there are numerous possibilities. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so most of public cloud API providers also have an API to recognize famous persons. So if you are running a shop there, you can expect from time to time to see such people, and you have offer that is geared toward them. It would make sense to alert your personnel in the shop that such a person is present.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
it comes to my mind like Notting Hill with Julia Roberts and Hugh Grant. Most probably in the real world scenario, he wouldn't even recognize that it was Julia Roberts. He would, like his assistant, think that she was just somebody that reminded him of someone. And this is how we humans work. So we are not perfect in that regard. So there are really numerous possibilities to build systems that can help companies make a lot of more money than now. And definitely public cloud is the part of the puzzle that is essential in that regard.
So yeah, there are, for example, this security systems like what Cisco Meraki has now, where you can do some of the processing locally. So basically, security camera can do people counting and stuff like that locally, and report how many people you have in certain area of your office space or whatever, and then you can do more advanced processing in the cloud, plus you can do additional analysis and combine that with additional sources of data for your customers.
Yeah. So basically today we just touched this subject. Of course, this is just a very short video about what image recognition is and some of the ideas that we encountered in our everyday work. There is definitely a lot more going on, and there is definitely a lot more space for companies to tap into this area. So is there anything else that you would like to add for today?
Yeah, we are looking forward to features and advancements, so it is quite dynamic area. New products are coming out all the time, and we see a huge progress with computer vision, and especially with this artificial intelligence and APIs of public cloud providers that can leverage their enormous compute potential.
Yeah, and as we are wrapping 2019, we would like to wish you a very happy new year, very prosperous holidays. And as Arthur C. Clarke said in his third law, that every sufficiently advanced technology is like magic. We are very much looking forward to seeing what kind of magic will Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Cisco, all those big players bring to us in the next year. And we wish you all the best and see you very soon. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.